Hey, it's Jer Stays. Today, our feature conversation focuses on supporting Southwest Detroit businesses with your dollars from the comfort of your own home. Jennifer Gomez from the Southwest Detroit Business Association joins me to talk about their new site where you can shop in the neighborhood from a number of local places. Before that, I'll share the latest local pandemic updates and tell you about a freighter stuck in the Detroit River. Welcome to your Daily Detroit, recorded on Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. Let's get started. First, the pandemic numbers. Michigan crossed 373,000 cases today and 9,405 deaths. Wednesday added 81 deaths and nearly 7,000 cases to the total. 6 hospitals are full in Michigan, with a number of local facilities almost at capacity, including Detroit Receiving, St. Joseph Mercy, Henry Ford Macomb, Ascension Macomb Oakland Warren, and McLaren Macomb. Restaurants will stay shuttered for indoor dining as a lawsuit brought by the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association was not successful. U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney refused to stop the state health department's order banning indoor dining. The judge said that there was a plausible reason for the ban in that you have to take off your mask to eat or drink, putting you at a higher risk of catching COVID-19. This is different than when you shop or go in and out of a retail store. For their part, the state presented evidence that you're 4 times more likely to get coronavirus at an indoor bar or restaurant than a gym or coffee shop, and more likely than colleges, retail stores, and hair salons. The restaurant lobbying group will not appeal, but work with health officials to push for the order to not be extended past December 8th. It's important to note that the restrictions could be set past that or extended in certain areas of the state. The University of Michigan's football game against Maryland in Ann Arbor has been canceled because of rising cases among student athletes. Specific infection numbers weren't available as of this recording, but U of M will not resume practice until Monday at the earliest. And if it continues longer, this may be the end of the season for the Wolverines. Both Wayne County and Oakland County are adding and moving testing sites as the cold weather sets in and the virus continues out of control. So if you need a test in those areas, here's what to know. Oakland is offering free no-prescription tests on Mondays at the Old Holly Fire Station, Tuesdays at the Rochester Fire Station, Wednesdays at the Southfield City Hall Employee Parking Deck, and Thursdays at the Pontiac Fire Station. You do need an appointment. And Wayne County has added free testing at the Hype Athletic Centers in Dearborn Heights and Wayne 6 days a week. I'll link to more information in the show notes. And finally, if you've ordered anything from a number of major retailers recently, including Macy's, Gap, Nike, and LL Bean, you could be in for a wait. The Wall Street Journal reports that UPS is refusing to take new packages until capacity opens up again. The entire delivery system is currently strained under the weight of the pandemic and dealing with a record $10.8 billion in online orders on Cyber Monday. A freighter ran aground off Grosse Ile Wednesday morning. BoatNerd.com reports that the Harvest Spirit is blocking all shipping traffic in the Detroit River. 3 tugboats are assisting it. One ocean-going ship tried to pass and briefly ran aground itself. Then all other ships in the area put down anchor. The Harvest Spirit's lube oil pump failed, shutting down the engine. After the Spirit lowered anchor, it swung around and, well, that was it. The ship is owned by Canadian-based McKeel and was shipping furnace coke from Detroit. It's stuck in the Livingstone Channel, a downbound route that was created in the early 1900s by businessman William Livingstone. A bit of history: Livingstone is honored with an Art Deco lighthouse on Belle Isle for his accomplishments, which, to be frank, might be a podcast episode for another day soon. As of this recording, the Harvest Spirit is stuck 90 degrees to the channel, with its bow sticking through a hole in the limestone berms created from the leftovers of the construction more than a century ago. Before we get to our featured conversation, I wanted to quickly remind you that it's our members that keep this podcast going. Join them at patreon.com/dailydetroit. We have options starting at just $1 a month, or if you want to do something that gets the word out about your business or organization. All of it makes a huge difference, and thank you very much. Joining me on the line is Jennifer Gomez. She is a vice president at the Southwest Detroit Business Association. Welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thanks so much. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to talk about this because as a longtime Detroit resident, I'm all about supporting local. And this new program caught my eye because people do online stores, right? They do things for themselves. But this is actually a neighborhood-focused community effort to do an online store. And my first reaction is this gives an opportunity for businesses who might not have the resources to make the jump online by themselves at first to be able to do it.
That's exactly right. As we all know, e-commerce has been something that's been growing and in development for, well over a decade now, where it's become a standard for most businesses to have an online presence. But there's a lot of businesses within Southwest Detroit for a variety of reasons that just really never went in that direction of e-commerce. And so we had the opportunity here with this novel idea to have a community representation through a portal with this Shop Southwest Detroit site where businesses of all industry, all different offerings can be represented. So what they get from this is not just the ability to reach a different audience, but it's an expanded audience. It can be nationwide, it can be global in some cases where it makes sense. And it's certainly bringing our businesses into a platform that many of them have not ventured into before.
Well, and as it grows, I think it's something that it helps people be intentional, right? Mm-hmm. If I want to support something in the Detroit area, and I might not be able to make it down, or there's a great vendor or something. Now there's shopsouthwestdetroit.com. There's kind of a centralized place to do that.
That's exactly right. And honestly, I can even speak from my own experience when I was perusing it. We went live with it on Friday, and that was our soft launch. And then, throughout this week, of course, we're having additional elements of it released. But even as I perused it and looked at it, what I found is that while I might have intentionally went to the site for one particular business, the way that we're representing all of our businesses that are participating, you have a view of them. And so you may just then organically, as you're on the site, go, oh, well, let me check out this business that I didn't even realize either existed or that I didn't consider before I would want to use their products or services. So the publication that our businesses are getting from the site is fantastic.
Well, then there's also the marketing aspect, I would imagine, right?
Oh, most definitely. Again, serving as a central portal for the community that didn't exist previously. And really, it is a novel idea. I don't know of any other community that has a site like this where they're representing all of their businesses from a central site. We're filling that need that many of them had for their marketing that they previously either had on a limited basis or on a different basis. This brings it to an entirely different dynamic for all of our businesses.
Yeah. Well, let's go through some of the options that are there because I know some of these businesses, but I mean, look, you've got carry-out food, you've got fashion, you've got home goods. You can even get an e-bike here.
You can, absolutely. So Southwest Detroit is definitely known, for our restaurants and our great food and, our different offerings with our service industry. But, to your point, we have everything represented on this that really fulfills our different industries that sometimes aren't known in Southwest Detroit, if you're looking inwards. So we have, options for retail, with fashion and clothing. We have our electronics represented. We have services represented. There's attorneys and insurance companies within Southwest Detroit. So that was the idea, was that we wanted to make sure that this website and this portal represented everything that exists within Southwest Detroit, not just the restaurants. So we have a definitely variety. But if you want the restaurants, they're there most certainly.
I guess this is a two-part question. How did all of this come together? And then for listeners, is this something that's going to last beyond the pandemic? Because I feel like there's been a lot of pandemic Band-Aids when I think there's a fundamental shift when it comes to how people are going to consume and shop going forward.
Yeah, most definitely. So what we've done, and we're really proud of at the SDBA, is any of our solutions that we came up with in response to COVID, although rooted in functionality, we made it a deliberate point to look for sustainable solutions that would last for years to come and that would actually change the landscape to the better, a benefit really back to the community that's going to exist for years and potentially decades to come. So again, we look at it from a functionality standpoint, certainly because, that's our role. We're here to help and support the community. But we're really proud of the idea that our different initiatives actually are going to be turning into legacy benefits now for our community.
Well, and that's great to see. So is this something that you're expecting? You said it was a soft launch. Are you expecting more products and more services to add on over time?
Absolutely. So we started the launch with 25 different businesses represented just to make sure that we had it up and running, that we could give some insight, to our community as far as how it's going to look, how it's going to function, the experience. But the idea is that we're going to continuously add on our different businesses with the goal of having most of them represented once this is, at a state of complete fulfillment. So that'll take place, of course, over the next several months and certainly probably even over the next, year or so to get everybody into the system itself. But starting with 25, we thought was a really good way to, kind of enter the marketplace. Again, it's a novel idea. I don't know of any other communities that represent all their businesses in a portal like this. So that was our starting point. But absolutely, we look forward to it growing and all of our businesses being represented over the next year.
And how have things gone the last few days? We're recording this on a Wednesday morning. The doors have been open for a little while. Anything you've learned?
We've learned that there's a lot of interest. So we're seeing some activity. Of course, we're monitoring, the different hits that we're getting and some of the inquiries that we've received directly so far. But we do have a measurement coming up in a couple of days to kind of see how our first full week went. But what we're seeing so far, every indication is that there's a lot of interest and this will definitely be very successful.
Well, I encourage listeners to check this out. There's a variety of stuff there, some great local places to check out, whether you're going to get some takeout or you're going to, pick up something that maybe you would have bought off of Amazon. If it's here, think about picking it up. Like I saw something where one of your electronic stores actually like selling Roku sticks. And that might be something that I need. I mean, there's so many great things. And having it in a place like this means you can shop local and feel good about it. I encourage people to check out shopsouthwestdetroit.com. And Jennifer Gomez, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jared. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
And we're done for today. Thanks so much for listening. Some great stories are ahead. We'll tell you about a Midtown development that has taken 8 years to come together with a look behind the scenes. Detroit's East Side has some cool things happening over at Chandler Park. Ferndale is pulling together a new mobility plan for residents to review. And Man About Town Devin O'Reilly with engineer Randy Walker, well, they're celebrating Boozmas with some of the best local stuff to buy. It'll get you into the holiday spirit with spirits. And of course, so much more. If you've got feedback or ideas for the show, get in touch. jer@dailydetroit.com. We also have a voicemail, 313-789-3211. Until tomorrow, I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other, and I'll see you around Detroit.